Welcome, my dear students. The Rat Trap, line by line explanation. Once upon a time, there was a man who went around selling small rat traps of wire. He made them himself whenever he was free by the things he used to beg in the stores or big farms. But even so, the business was not so profitable, and he had to do begging as well as small thievery to keep body and soul together to survive. Even so, his clothes were in rags, his cheeks were sunken, and hunger gleamed in his eyes. Means he was still not in good condition. No one can imagine how sad and monotonous life can appear to such a vagabond. To such a homeless person, the life was completely monotonous, and he walked slowly along the road. Once he was busy in his own thoughts, meditation. But one day, this man had fallen into a series of thoughts which really seemed to him entertaining. What was that thought? Let us see. He had naturally been thinking of his rat traps when suddenly he got one idea. What he thought about the whole world? The whole world with its lands and seas, its cities and villages. He thought it was a entertaining idea for him that it is nothing but a big rat trap, a place which offers temptations to trap people. It had never existed for any other purpose than to set baits. So it was offering temptations for people. It offered wealth, joy, shelter, food, warmth, clothing, exactly as the rat trap offered. We find there cheese, pork. Pork means meat of pig. And as soon as anyone let himself be tempted to touch the bait, it closed in on him, and then everything came to an end. The world had, of course, never been very kind to him. Him means the narrator. So it gave him unwanted joy, unusual joy, when he thought ill about the others. It became a cherished pastime of his. So whenever he thought about people caught in that trap, he was very happy, jocund. During many gloomy ploddings, when he used to walk laboriously, to think of people he knew who had let themselves to think of people he knew who had let themselves be caught in the dangerous snare. So life was like a trap for those who are trapped in it, and of others who were still circling around the bait. So all the luxuries of life are just like bait. One dark evening, as he was walking along the road, he saw little grey cottage by the side of the road, and he knocked on the door to ask shelter for the night. And he was not refused. Generally, it happened that he saw hostile faces, but instead of the hostile faces, the owner, the old man, without wife or child, he was very happy to get someone to talk to in his loneliness. So immediately he welcomed him and put the porridge pot on the fire and gave him supper. And then he cut a big slice of tobacco roll, which was enough for both of them. And the rat trap who went to a old man's house, and there he was welcomed and he was offered a big slice of tobacco roll, which was enough for the stranger, the rat trap, as well as for the owner of the house, the old man. Finally, he got out an old pack of cards, and then they played a card game, Jollies, with his guest until bedtime. Old man was just a very generous and very had very much confident in him. So they both enjoyed porridge and tobacco. The guest was informed at once that in his days of prosperity, his host had been a crofter. Means the owner of the house was a crofter at Ramsjo Iron Works and had worked on the land. And now that he was no longer able to do day labor, it was his cow. Means he was supported by his cow. How come? Yes, the cow is here called as Bossy. So that Bossy was extraordinary. She could give milk for the creamery, a factory for butters and cheese. And last month he had received around 30 kronors, a currency, in lieu of selling that milk. The old man, the crofter, was so innocent that he thought the stranger must have seemed incredulous, not believing him. For the old man got up, so he got up and went to the window. He took down a leather pouch which hung on a nail in the very window frame, and from there he picked out three wrinkled 10 kronor bills. Bills means note. These he held up, these he tried to show him before the eyes of his guest, nodding knowingly, and then again he stuffed them back into the pouch. The next day, both men got up in good season. It was early morning. The crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow, and the other man, the rat trap, he probably thought he should not stay in bed when the head of the house had gotten up. They left the cottage at the same time. The crofter locked the door and put the key in his pocket. The man with the rat traps said goodbye, thank you, and thereupon they both went to their own way. But half an hour later, the rat trap, the peddler, he stood again before the door. He did not try to get in. However, he went to the window. He smashed a pan, smashed means broke a glass, and pushed in his hand. And there he got hold of the pouch, the same pouch in which there were 30 kronors. He took the money and thrust it into his own pocket, and then he hung the leather pouch very carefully back in its place and went away. So, in this way, the rat trap maker, the peddler, he had stolen money from the same old man's house where he stayed for the night. Now we have around 6 questions here, and I have written below some value points. With the help of these value points, you can answer these questions. From where did the peddler get the ideas of the world being a rat trap? So, as a vagabond thinking, he got that idea. Why was he amused by this idea? Because people get hostile, and then he thought that they will be trapped and it will be good. Did the peddler expect the kind of hospitality? No. Why was the crofter so talkative and friendly? Because he was living alone, he had no children, no one to talk or share his thoughts. Why did he show the 30 kroners? He was very innocent and he wanted him to understand that he is stealing the money. The peddler, the vagabond. He walked along with the money in his pocket. He felt quite pleased with his smartness. He was feeling that I'm very smart. He realized, of course, that at first he dared not continue on the public highway because on public highway he may be caught by the police. So what he decided, to turn off the road into the woods, into the jungle. During the first hours, this caused him no difficulty. Later in the day, it became worse. The reason was it was a big and confusing forest. He tried to be sure to walk in a definite direction, and you'll be surprised to know that if I close, my dear students, if you close your both the eyes and if you want to go straight, you'll find yourself come back to the same place, because according to normal behavior we can never walk straight. The same thing happened with him. He tried to be sure to walk in a definite direction, but the path twisted back and forth so strangely. He walked and walked without coming to the end of the wood, and finally he realized that he had been walking around in the same part of the forest. So, in this way, he lost his way. All at once, he recalled his thoughts about the world and the rat trap. And this is highlighted here. Why? I will explain you. Now his own turn had come. So when he was trapped in the jungle, he has lost his way. Then he realized that earlier he was thinking about the others, that the riches, the wealth, it is like a bait. It traps people. The same way, today he is also trapped. Now his own turn had come. He had let himself be fooled by a bait and had been caught. The whole forest, with its trunks, branches, thickets, logs, closed in upon him like an impenetrable prison which he cannot break, from which he could never escape. It was late in December. Darkness was already descending over the forest. This increased the danger, and also it increased his unhappiness and despair. Finally, he saw no way out, and so he sank down on the ground. He was tired to death, thinking that this last moment had come. But just as he laid his head on the ground, he heard a sound, some thumping. There was no doubt as to what that was. He stood. Those are the hammer strokes from an iron mill. He thought there must be people nearby. So he once again summoned all his strength, got up, and then started walking in the direction of the sound. The Ramcho ironworks, which are now closed down, were not so long ago a large plant. Yes, now it is closed down, but earlier it was a big industry with a smelter, rolling mill, forge. In the summertime, long lines of heavily loaded barges and scows slid down the canal which led to a large inland lake. So in summertime there were loaded boats, small and big boats, which were used for transportation through the canal. And in the winter time, the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which sifted down from the big charcoal crates. And in summer times, the roads were completely black due to the coal dust. Means from that factory, which was during one of the long dark evenings just before Christmas, The master smith and his helper sat in the dark forge near the furnace waiting for the pig iron. Pig iron means ore or iron or raw iron, which had been put in the fire to be ready to put on the anvil. So, iron ore was the raw material there. Every now and then, one of them got up to stir the glowing mass with a long iron bar, returning in a few moments dripping with perspiration, sweating. Though, as was the custom, he wore nothing but a long shirt and a pair of wooden shoes. So, because it was iron factory and everything was done in a very unhealthy environment, a lot of heat, and that's why the people there, the workers there, were wearing long shirt only and wooden shoes. All the time, there were many sounds to be heard in the forge. The big bellows groaned, and the burning coal cracked. The fire boy shoveled. Shovel is a kind of hand tool used for throwing charcoal into the furnace. So the fire boy shoveled charcoal into the maw of the furnace with a great deal of clatter. And when he threw it, there was a sound, clattering sound. Outside roared the waterfall, and a sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick tiled roof. It was probably on account of all this noise that the blacksmith did not notice. Whom? Yes, the man with the rat traps, the man who was selling rat trap. He opened the gate, entered the forge until he stood close up to the furnace. The blacksmith could not see him. Surely it was nothing unusual for poor vagabonds without any better shelter for the night to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light which escaped through the sooty pans and to come in to warm themselves in front of the fire. So it was nothing unusual for the blacksmith because it was a warm place and during night it was possible that any vagabond can come. The blacksmith glanced only casually and indifferently. He had no difference at the intruder. He looked the way people of his type usually did, with a long beard, dirty, ragged, and with a bunch of rat traps dangling, hanging on his chest. So he asked permission to stay, and the master blacksmith, he agreed, nodded a haughty consent without honoring him with a single word. Means he agreed, but in an arrogant manner, as I have that place that people come here and stay here, means he was feeling proud. So this welcome was not like the welcome he had there, where the old man offered him tobacco and food, and there he had stolen his money. The tramp did not say anything. He had not come there to talk, only to warm himself and sleep. In those days, Ramjo Iron Mill was owned by a very prominent ironmaster whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. He watched both night and day, yes, all the time to see that the work was done as well as possible, and he used to come into the forge to see in the nights also for inspection. Naturally, the first thing he saw was the tall ragamuffin, that person who had eased his way so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rag. So, due to heat, the cold, the wet rags were rising steam. The ironmaster did not follow the example of the blacksmith. Being owner, he should consider him to be below his dignity, but him came closer to him. He tore off his. So the blacksmith, he removed his slouch hat and looked at his face. But of course, it is you, Nils Olof. How do you look? So he was surprised to see he might have mistaken him somebody else. The man with the rat traps had never before seen the ironmaster. He did not know even his name, but it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance, it is better he might perhaps throw him a couple of kroner, some money he will get. That's why he did not want to correct him, and he said, "Yes, God knows things have gone downhill." Means he is trying to say that now my condition is not good. "You should not have resigned from the regiment," said the ironmaster. "That was the mistake. If only I had still been in the service at the time, it never would have happened. Well, now of course you will come home with me." So he has mistaken him as someone resigned from the regiment, and he said that I was not there at that time, that's why you did that mistake, and that's the reason now you are in such a bad condition. To go along up to the manor house, that was a big country house, and received by the owner like an old regimental comrade. So he was considered as a regimental comrade, that however did not please the tramp. So he was actually willing to cheat him and he wanted to get some money, but the way he is now being treated, that has not made him happy. So he was now alarmed and he said, "No, I could not think of it." He didn't want to go with him. He thought of the 30 kroner. To go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the lion's den. He'll be caught, he thought. He only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then run away without being noticed. The ironmaster assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing. But the ironmaster, he was not aware what was being cooked in his mind, so he thought that because of his miserable clothing he is denying. "Please don't think that I have such a fine home that you cannot show yourself there," he said. "Elizabeth is dead, as you may already have heard, and my boys are abroad, and there is no one at home except my oldest daughter and myself. Only we two are here. My wife is already dead. We were just saying that it was too bad we did not have any company for Christmas, and now because you have come along with me and you will now help us make the Christmas food disappear a little faster, means we will enjoy Christmas. You can give company as you are my old friend." But the stranger said no and no and again no. And the ironmaster saw that he must give in. Give in means to admit defeat, means to stop requesting him. "It looks as though Captain von Stahl preferred to stay with you tonight, Sergeant Storm," he said to the master blacksmith, and turned on his heel. So he felt like the man to whom he is considering as Captain von Stahl, his old friend, he is not willing to go. But at the same time, there was actually strong faith of the ironmaster that when he will inform everything to his daughter, she will definitely persuade him, and that's why he said so and turned on his heel. But he laughed to himself as he went away. And the blacksmith, who knew him, he understood very well that had not said his last word, means it is not his last attempt